Hello, sports fans. It is Tuesday, September the 17th, the year 2013, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Let's start with the Monday Night Football game from last night, where the Cincinnati Bengals at home beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 20-10. The Bengals go to 1-1. The Steelers drop to 0-2. Let me say this. It is getting late early for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They can't move the ball from here to there. Their offense is anemic. Their offensive line is a mess. Their center is out for the year. Their tight end is still hurt. They have no running game. Roethlisberger gets hit on every play. The offensive coordinator is under fire. Now Mike Tomlin, the head coach, is under fire. It is getting late early for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers started off decently enough last night. They're up 3-0. They're driving again, and what happens? The tight end who's filling in for Heath Miller fumbles the ball. That changes, the whole momentum of the game. Bengals go right down and score. They go up 7-3. Bengals tack on a field goal, go up 10-3. Steelers do score right before the half to get back in the game, and they tie the score at 10. They're right back in the game, Pittsburgh. But then the wheels completely fell off the offense in the third quarter for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh did absolutely nothing in the third quarter. I think the total yards in the third quarter was Cincinnati like 115, and the Steelers had like -3 yards in the third quarter. Steelers had one decent drive early in the third quarter when the score was tied 10-10, but a penalty and a sack wiped that out. Cincinnati goes down and scores. They go up 17-10. Then on the opening play of the fourth quarter, Pittsburgh throws an incomplete pass deep in their own end. They have to punt from deep in their own territory. That sets up another Cincinnati field goal. Cincinnati's up 20-10. Steelers, with about 4 minutes to go, are driving. They're still alive at this point, and Roethlisberger throws an absolutely terrible interception. That seals the deal. Cincinnati did a really nice job running the ball last night. Cincinnati's defense is really good. They have a really ferocious front. Cincinnati, a very underrated team. I like what I see from Cincinnati. A lot of talent, a lot of young talent. Cincinnati is a team to watch. Very, very good team. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, all kinds of trouble. I mean, they showed one stat last night. I think the Steelers, the first 10 possessions of the game, 7 of them, they were 3 and out. They couldn't even get a first down. I mean, that's how bad their offense is. Do you realize in 2 games, the Steelers scored 9 points against Tennessee and 10 points last night? I'm not blaming the Steeler defense. The Steeler defense played good enough to win both games. They gave up 16 points in week 1 and gave up 20 last night on the road. That's not bad. And I thought the Steelers' special teams played well. This is all on the offense. The offensive line is atrocious. Again, it seems every year the Steelers' offensive line is in shambles. The running game also in shambles. They have no, feature back. I mean, they have like 4 guys getting the ball, but none of them are any good. I mean, they lost Mike Wallace, their receiver, to Miami, so they're missing him as a deep threat. I mean, Keith Miller is still out, the tight end. Roethlisberger is running for his life. The offensive coordinator doesn't look like he's got a clue. Mike Tomlin's coming under fire. It is about to get very ugly early for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh home against Chicago this week. Pittsburgh has to have this game. Now, I don't think the Steelers are making the playoffs no matter what, but it could get very ugly if they lose to Chicago and go to 0-3. That's a disaster. At least if they beat Chicago, they're 1-2. Okay, they can hang around a little bit. I still don't think they're a good team. But if they go to 0-3, it is going to get ugly in Pittsburgh. They have not been used to this bad of football in a while. Since Roethlisberger's gotten there, they've had nothing but success. They've been to 3 Super Bowls, won 2 of them. They are not used to this in the Steel City. So this could be a long, ugly year for Pittsburgh. Must win Sunday night in Pittsburgh against Chicago, and it won't be easy. The Bears are 2-0. Cincinnati next week, a very interesting game, home for Green Bay. How good of a game is that? So Cincinnati, very impressive, a lot of good young talent, very good defense. I like what I see from Cincinnati. Pittsburgh, it's getting late early for them. They have to respond this week against Chicago. All right, real quick, let's go through the standings in the NFL after 2 weeks. It's very early, but let's go through them anyway. The NFC East, Dallas is 1-1. They had that tough loss to Kansas City. Philadelphia is 1-1. I didn't like the loss they had to San Diego. They had no defense in that game at all. They have to pick up their defense and play the Eagles. Giants 0-2. They are in a lot of trouble. They play Carolina this week. Must win for the Giants. Washington 0-2. They're in all kinds of trouble. Robert Griffin III doesn't look healthy. Washington in all sorts of trouble. As far as the North, Chicago off to a nice start. They're 2-0. Nice win against Cincinnati. Nice come from behind a win against Minnesota. So Chicago 2-0, doing a nice job. Detroit 1-1. Hey, Detroit, they got to find a way to beat the Arizonas of the world. They lost to Arizona this last week after being up 21-10. Detroit's got to figure out a way to win those games if they're going to go up to the next level. Green Bay 1-1. Green Bay's solid. We know Rodgers is great. We know the offense is great. They had a tough loss to San Francisco, and then they just blew out Washington. Green Bay's going to be there in the end. Minnesota 0-2. Watch them. Could be a long year for Minnesota. I don't love Ponder. I mean, they're off to a rocky start in a tough division. Danger time for the Vikings. In the South, New Orleans 2-0. We figured New Orleans would be better with their coach back. They are. They escaped with a win against Tampa Bay. They had that nice win against Atlanta. New Orleans is going to be much improved this year. Atlanta 1-1. Hey, listen, we know Atlanta's going to be a solid team. They had a tough loss to New Orleans, but hey, Atlanta's going to be there in the end. I expect them to be a playoff team. Tampa Bay 0-2, all kinds of problems on the offensive end. We don't know about the quarterback Freeman, if they're going to trade him. He's not getting along with Shiano. Tampa Bay, a lot of problems, especially on offense. Carolina 0-2. What's going on with you, Cam Newton? 0-2. Totally blew that game to Buffalo. Carolina could be off to another bad start this year. Could be another long year for Carolina. As far as the West, Seattle 2-0. Just an amazing home team. Blew out San Francisco. I love Seattle. They're going to get Harvin back eventually during this season, so Seattle's just going to get that much better. St. Louis 1-1. St. Louis, I think, is a year away. I like what St. Louis is doing. I think they're a year away, though. Arizona 1-1. Hey, we don't expect much from Arizona. I think they'll be a little improved from last year with Palmer as quarterback, but I don't think they're a playoff team. San Francisco 1-1. Hey, I think San Francisco is one of the best teams in football, despite the beating they took to Seattle. As far as your AFC goes, the AFC East, it's funny. Every time you look at the AFC East, New England's in first place. No matter when you look at it, no matter what problems they're having, they're in first place. New England 2-0, but they have all sorts of injuries. Amendola is out. Gronkowski is out. They lose Hernandez. They got injuries up and down on their offense, but New England always seems to find a way. They are 2-0. Miami, nice start. 2-0 and won 2 big road games, including a nice win at Indianapolis. Not easy to do. I like Tannehill. Mike Wallace played well last week. I like what I'm seeing from Miami. Buffalo 1-1. Hey, we don't expect a lot from Buffalo. They had a nice win against Carolina. We'll see if the quarterback can do some things. Buffalo's not a playoff team this year. We'll see if they can build for the future. Jets 1-1. We'll see how Geno Smith develops. The Jets don't have a lot of talent around him. We don't expect a lot from the Jets at all. They do have a win already. I was surprised they actually beat Tampa Bay. So the Jets, we don't expect much. We'll see if Geno Smith can do something. As far as the South goes, Baltimore 1-1. Very unimpressive so far. They got blown out by Denver. Lucky to beat Cleveland. Now Ray Rice is hurt. A lot of new faces in Baltimore. I don't like what I see from them early. Cincinnati 1-1. I like Cincinnati. I think they're the favorite to win this division. A lot of good young talent on Cincinnati's team. Pittsburgh, as we said, 0-2, getting late early. Have to beat Chicago this week, or else it's going to be a miserable year for the Steelers. Cleveland 0-2. Same old story for Cleveland. Can't score. Whedon, the quarterback, can't get anything done. He's now hurt. They have no weapons on offense. They play hard. They have good defense. They just can't score. I mean, what did Cleveland score? 10 points in week 1 and 6 points in week 2? That's not going to get the job done. In today's NFL, where everything favors the offense, where everyone's putting up all these points and yardage, Cleveland 6 points last week, couldn't get in the end zone, not going to get it done. And I feel bad for those Cleveland fans. The Cleveland Brown fans are some of the best fans in the NFL. They deserve better than this. As far as the South goes, Houston 2-0, 2 nice come-from-behind wins. They come back and beat San Diego. Then they come back last week and beat Tennessee. So nice job by Houston there. Tennessee 1-1. Tennessee looks much improved, especially on defense. They manhandled the Steelers in week 1 in Pittsburgh, and they had Houston beat in Houston last week. Let that game get away. Tennessee could be improved. We'll keep an eye on Locker as quarterback. Indianapolis 1-1. We know what the deal with them. Andrew Luck is going to be a star. I like Indianapolis's team. They're going to be a borderline playoff team. Jacksonville 0-2. Hey, they're the worst team in football. We know that. I mean, they scored 2 points in week 1. They scored 9 points last week against the Raiders. Jacksonville's the worst team in football. As far as the West goes, Denver's 2-0. Denver looks like one of the best teams in football right now. Peyton Manning, though, can he get it done in the playoffs? He's very shaky in the playoffs. We know he's great in the regular season. Kansas City 2-0. Much improved under Andy Reid and the new quarterback Smith. I like Kansas City's team. They had a lot of talent last year. They just messed up every game last year with just ridiculous plays. They look much improved. Kansas City could do some things this year. Oakland 1-1. Hey, they're actually playing better than I thought. They almost beat Indianapolis. Then they beat Jacksonville. I thought Oakland would win like 2 games this year. They may be a little better than we thought. They're far away from a playoff team, though. And San Diego 1-1. San Diego has shown a little bit of life this year. Should have beaten Houston, had a 28-7 lead, let that game get away, and had a nice win against Philadelphia. Phillip Rivers and the offense playing really well. Now, they got to pick it up on defense. They gave up 31 points in week 1, 30 in week 2, despite winning the game. The offense looks great. Defense still looks a little shaky, but overall, I liked San Diego's effort the first 2 weeks of the season. So that's kind of where you are in the NFL, and it's very early in the NFL season. I mean, we got a long way to go. All right, transitioning over to baseball. As far as last night, Tampa Bay had a huge win against Texas. Texas is in a complete freefall. They've lost 6-7 games in a row now. Texas is falling apart. Big win for Tampa Bay. Texas hanging on to that last spot. Cleveland is right on their heels. Cleveland did lose to Kansas City last night, so that kept Texas in that last wild card spot. As far as Atlanta and Washington yesterday, that game got canceled because of the terrible shooting there in the Washington Navy Yard. Our condolences go out to all the victims there. So that game was canceled. They have a doubleheader today. Washington's about 5 games behind Cincinnati for the last wildcard spot. I think Washington's going to run out of time. They're starting to finally play good ball. They just did it a little too late. All right, so here we go as far as the playoffs right now in baseball. Right now, the division lead is Boston, Oakland, Detroit. Boston has the best record. As far as the National League, you have Atlanta, St. Louis, and the Dodgers leading their division. Atlanta with the best record there. As far as the National League wild card, Pittsburgh leading the way in the wild card. Cincinnati second. They're 5 games over Washington. Looks like Pittsburgh and Cincinnati will make the playoffs. I don't think Washington's going to do it. The real race is for that American League wild card spot. Tampa Bay has the first wild card spot. Texas is hanging on by a thread to that second spot. Cleveland's only like a half a game out behind Texas. Cleveland is right there. Baltimore, the Yankees, and Kansas City all about 2.5 games behind. They're all still in it. Yankees got all sorts of injuries, though. The Yankees have to do it now. They need a big week. They play Toronto and San Francisco. Need to win most of these games. Same thing with Baltimore and Kansas City. They can't afford any slip-ups. I believe Baltimore is in Boston tonight. So the real race is that American League wild card. It's coming right down to the end. All right, as far as some of your games tonight in baseball, you do have the Yankees at Toronto. Yankees got to win them all. Texas, Tampa is a huge series. Cleveland, Kansas City is a huge series. Baltimore, Boston is gigantic for Baltimore. Atlanta, Washington, doubleheader. Washington needs to take 2. San Diego, Pittsburgh has some implications as far as, division for Pittsburgh. Detroit, Seattle, Detroit's battling for best record in the American League. Cincinnati, Houston. Cincinnati's got that last wild card spot right now. St. Louis, Colorado. St. Louis is leading the division, but Pittsburgh's right there as well. Dodgers in Arizona. Dodgers, are going to make the playoffs, but they're starting to lose out on home field to Atlanta and St. Louis. Dodgers have finally started to cool off a little bit. They were so hot for so long. They finally started to cool off. Still no Matt Kemp. We don't know when he's coming back. Puig's been in and out of the lineup. H. Ramirez has been out. Dodgers have a few injuries as well. Listen, the Dodgers were so hot for so long, they were bound to cool off. They are cooling off right now. We'll see if they can start playing a little better. You want to start peaking when you get to the playoffs. You worry about the Dodgers. Did they peak too early? Also tonight, Angels and Oakland. Oakland, of course, will make the playoffs. They're battling for best record as well. So a lot of the baseball games major implications as far as the playoffs and seeding and best record. You turn on a baseball game tonight, just about all of them have some sort of meaning as we come down the home stretch for baseball, the last couple of weeks. So that's kind of where you are in your baseball tonight. As far as the games tonight, as far as the games this week for the NFL, now we're going to get into our NFL picks on Thursday. Tomorrow I'm going to do college picks. Thursday we're going to do the NFL picks. And Friday we'll do a preview of the weekend. We'll also recap the Thursday night game, Philadelphia, Kansas City, which is a very interesting game. Real quick, going back to the NFL. Here's your games this week for the NFL. You have Thursday night, Kansas City at Philadelphia. Very interesting game. Kansas City much improved. Philadelphia great on offense, terrible on defense. We'll see. That's a very, very interesting Thursday night game. San Diego at Tennessee on Sunday. That's shaping up to be an interesting game. Both teams seem a little improved from last year. Very interesting game. Cleveland at Minnesota. Hey, if you're Minnesota and you can't beat Cleveland at home, your season is over. Tampa Bay at New England. We'll keep an eye on this New England injury situation. Everybody's hurt for New England. Who's going to play? Who's not going to play? And Tampa Bay's a mess. I mean, are they going to trade Freeman, his relationship with the coach Shiano? So there's a lot of messy stuff going on there with that Tampa Bay-New England game. You have Houston at Baltimore. We'll see if Ray Rice plays. We'll see if Johnson plays for Houston. Very interesting game there as well. We have St. Louis against Dallas. I mean, like I said, I think St. Louis is a year away. I would expect Dallas to get the job done here. Arizona at New Orleans. You got to love New Orleans in the Superdome there. Detroit, Washington. Very interesting game. Washington's 0-2. We'll see if they can rebound and get a win. Green Bay, Cincinnati, one of the marquee games of the weekend. Tremendous, tremendous game. Giants at Carolina. Must win for both teams. The loser could be done already. Loser goes to 0-3. Atlanta, Miami, that's shaping up to be one of the best games of the weekend. Miami 2-0. They should have a sold-out crowd there down in Miami. Indianapolis at San Francisco. Look for San Francisco to lay the wood on the Colts. The Niners have to be angry after they just got demolished in Seattle. Tough spot for the Colts this week. Jacksonville at Seattle. I looked at the spread of this game. Seattle's favored by 20 points. Have you ever seen a 20-point spread in the NFL? And you know what? I think they're going to cover it. I think Seattle bombs Jacksonville. Buffalo at the Jets in just an ugly, ugly game in the Meadowlands. Chicago at Pittsburgh. We mentioned this game before. Pittsburgh has to win this game or it's going to get really, really filthy ugly in Pittsburgh. I give Pittsburgh a shot in this game because they're home. I mean, the Bears are not great. The Bears are a good, solid team, but they're not great. I give Pittsburgh a shot because they're home. We'll get more into this game on Thursday. And the Monday night game, big rivalry, Oakland and Denver. I don't expect Oakland to go in there and beat Denver. Maybe they can hang around for a little while. Like I said, though, we'll pick all the games with the spreads on Thursday. We'll delve into them more on Thursday. I just wanted to give you a quick look at what's coming up in the NFL this weekend. Okay, so there you go. You guys are all set for today. Like I said, tomorrow, Wednesday, college picks. We're going to go through the top 25, give you all my picks with the spreads. We got a couple decent games this week, although it is not a great week in college football this week. Then on Thursday, wall-to-wall NFL, give you every game, pick every game with the point spread, starting with that Thursday night game, Kansas City and Philadelphia. Then Friday, we're going to preview the weekend, preview what's coming up with baseball, and we'll also review that big Kansas City-Philadelphia game. We'll see what happened in that game on Friday. Okay, so that is the rest of the week. You guys are all caught up. You guys, thanks for the support. You guys stay safe. Enjoy the games tonight. It's a baseball night. You turn on a baseball game tonight, it's going to have meaning in some way. All right, thanks for the support. I will talk to you guys tomorrow when we do our college football picks. You guys have a great night. Enjoy the games. Talk to you tomorrow. Take care.